Something big is about to drop, and it may have something to do with Dawson Mercer. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to Devil's Digest. I'm your host, Ryan the Gosiker, here with you, as always, bringing you the latest, greatest Devils content as per usual. We're going to get into the program today, talk a little bit about Dawson Mercer and his future with New Jersey. But first, I want you to be a subscriber to the channel. We need your help getting to 1,000. I was going to say 7,000. That'll come eventually. But I need your help to get to 1,000 subscribers. Aiden and I need your help to get to 1,000. Okay, we're just over the 700 plateau, so we need to keep grinding. Want to get to 1,000 by the beginning of the season. We'll see how that goal continues to go as the offseason rolls on. But hit that subscribe button, and let's get into the program. Now, as I mentioned today, I want to talk about Dawson Mercer's future with the team because I came across this tweet, and, again, still in the market for a top six forward, and we've been talking about it the last few weeks, and who that could be, what potential teams the Devils could be looking to trade with in order to acquire something like that, how they would do it. There are three pieces within the Devils system right now that are, I would say, I don't want to say valuable because I don't consider Palat's contract valuable, but if there is going to be a trade, one of these three players or potentially two of these three players, depending on how large the deal ends up becoming and who the return is Dougie Hamilton, Andre Palat, and Dawson Mercer. Now, there's a lot of people consider, and in my camp too, I don't think Dawson Mercer's untouchable in any regard, but he is only 23 years old. He's still continuing to grow, and the Dawson Mercer we saw a couple years ago, is who we want to return. Now, I also understand, before I feel like I could feel it coming, everybody's going to say, well, what happened the last 2 years? Yes, the last 2 years he was not particularly good, to put it very lightly and to keep it rated G on this program. Okay? There's some, dog you-know-what, I think is how he played basically the last couple of years. So the Devils need Dawson Mercer to take that leap because, again, as I've said in previous videos, don't misconstrue what I'm about to say. When Jack Hughes goes out, if Jack Hughes gets hurt, which the last few years he has, you need a guy like Dawson Mercer to step up and emerge as, not to replace Jack Hughes, because you're not going to be able to do that, but to make the drop-off less than what it otherwise would be. Also, as I've mentioned, if Dawson Mercer can man the 3C, now the Devils have their center group of Nico Hischier, Jack Hughes, Dawson Mercer, and Cody Glass, which I think, if all are playing the way we want them to, is a good four, is a four deep center group. Okay. Now, I know there's some talks about whether Dawson's better on the wing, is he better at center, this, that, and the other thing. There's also talks about whether Jack is better on the wing, or is he better, in between the face-off circles. So there's a lot of question marks, but what I will say is if the Devils are going to trade for a top six forward, it is going to more than likely involve Dawson Mercer, okay? And it's something that Devil fans need to be prepared for. And part of the reason is because of some of the things that I laid out of why people would like Dawson Mercer. He also, and I know it's a little bit hard to see, but his contract is $4 million a year at age 23, with a year under his belt, which you can see in 22-23, 56-point season. Okay, now again, in the 30s last couple of years, expecting that to continue to grow. Okay, but there are teams out there that feel like, man, if we can get a guy like this, that $4 million, particularly with the growing cap, is going to look like nothing at some point when Dawson reaches his prime and enters the best years of his career. So there are teams that, that's why Dawson Mercer is an intriguing prospect to teams, and certainly one that his name is and will be thrown around the hat for the entire offseason, because that contract, what people think they can get out of him and what, frankly, I believe his apex to be, will make that $4 million look like pennies. Now, can he reach that apex on this team? That's a great question. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I would love to find out. I would love for Dawson to get to the apex, potentially, within the next 2 years. Because, again, certainly, listen, I'm not saying the criticism from the fan base has been unwarranted. It certainly has been. His play has not been very good, but I feel like the potential in there is there. And if he has another stinker this year, I don't see him getting that second year opportunity. So Dawson, this is the, if you're looking for, guys who it's important to have a great year, obviously the top guys, and, it's important for Jack to stay healthy, guys like Dougie and Luke to stay healthy this year. But this is a massive year for Dawson Mercer to prove to the Devils fan base and management, for all that matters, hey, I deserve to be here, right? I deserve to stay here under this $4 million contract and play it out. And I don't know if you guys can see this, because obviously I know it's a little bit stretched out, but when that contract is up, he's a restricted free agent, okay? Which means the Devils still have the right to match any offer that comes in for him. So it would behoove both sides if Dawson Mercer could play well, okay, and, be that guy that we think he can be and man that 3C spot. Because if they can, they need help in that area. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Dawson Mercer's been a player that's made me scratch my head more than a few times throughout the last couple of years. But again, I think he might be one of the beneficiaries of me not being a season ticket holder next year, because he had the career year, 56 points in 22-23. I become a season ticket holder. These last 2 years, he's been, doggy do. So I don't know. I don't know if that's coincidence. I don't know what it is. But there are many beneficiaries for me not being a season ticket holder this year. Potentially Dawson Mercer being one of them. However, going back to the overall moral of the story from this video, if the Devils are going to trade for a top 6 forward, I believe Dawson Mercer is going to be part of the package deal. And he is part of that package deal because of the year he had 2 years ago, and because his contract's $4 million a year, with being a restricted free agent at the end of it. So he's not an unrestricted free agent. So I think, to me, that makes it a little bit eye-opening to some teams and potentially intriguing to them as well. So again, if the Devils make this big trade, make this big swing, unfortunately, I think that means Dawson Mercer is going to be off the roster. Now, I know we have some comments. We have some fans that, are already like, get Dawson out of here. This stuff, he's not the guy. Okay, let's see. Let's see what the Devils decide to do. Are they going to keep him? Or are they going to upgrade? In lieu of getting rid of him? And that's going to be interesting to see as the offseason continues to roll on. Again, we're going to get into some more names coming up this week and next week about who the Devils should trade for, who they should be looking at, who they should be eyeing. Man, it's going to be a fun offseason. But again, it seems like Fitz is sitting on his hands right now, which makes it very frustrating, I know, as fans. And I read your comments, I see your comments. It's frustrating, and I get it. And the Devils need to continue to make moves and continue to upgrade this roster. But I do agree with some of you. It just has the feeling of Fitz just being like, yeah, that's kind of it, and waiting. It's one of those things sometimes where, like, if things aren't going to be great with the fan base, you just put them out there and you figure, after 2 weeks, everybody get tired of it and they'll be done. I don't know. I don't know if that strategy works with Devils fans. I'm not going to lie. And I wouldn't blame them for it not working because, again, he is, he's the guy that said this team's got to look different because last year wasn't good enough. This team barely looks different than it did last year. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the offseason continues to go. When is Luke Hughes going to get signed? The other thing is, who are they moving to sign Luke Hughes? Because Luke Hughes is going to get over $7 million a year AAV, whether it's a bridge deal or a long-term deal. The Devils have just under $7 million in cap space. So there has to be a corresponding move. I'm intrigued to see what that is going to be. And I'm intrigued to hear your thoughts. Are you trading Dawson Mercer for a top 6 forward? I would imagine we get a majority that would say yes. But who are you targeting? Who do you think would be enticed to take a guy like Dawson Mercer? Leave us a comment. And I just want to thank you. I always want you to be a subscriber. Help us get to our goal of 1,000. Okay? And I thank you for listening, for watching, however you're consuming this content. Aiden and I appreciate it. We're happy to be a part of the Devil's Digest community, and we're happy to have you be involved as well. So that involves, liking videos and commenting on videos, leaving us your stuff. What do you think? I want to hear what you think, right? It's so easy to just say, oh, that's a bad idea, this is a great idea, whatever. Let us know what you think. Who would you move who would you receive if you were to have to give up Dawson Mercer? Again, if you think highly of him, maybe it's a higher end top 6 forward. If it's, maybe somebody that's, maybe if you're not a believer in Dawson Mercer, maybe you give him up for a bag of pucks. Who knows? Let us know what you think, and I appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time on Devil's Digest.